All right, let's start with the Nokar mantra. Om Namo Arihantanam. Om Namo Sitanam. Om Namo Ayariyanam. Om Namo Vachayanam. Namo Loe Savasahunam. Eso Pancha Namo Karo. Sarva Pavapanasano. Mangalalancha Sarvesim. Paramam Have Mangalam. Paramam Have Mangalam. Thank you everybody for joining on this last class before the new year. What I thought we'd do is go over what we went over, because you don't cement anything in long-term memory unless you review it later. And that's something important to tell your kids about studying, is that, well, they can take notes and over what they did. They take notes during the day, but unless they review it again the next week or 2 weeks later, it doesn't go into long-term memory. And that's something that most people forget, because who wants to go back and look at work that you did previously, unless it's for a test or something, right? But remember, our test is life, so we're going to go over the things we went over this year. And of course, if you missed any classes, then I want you to ask questions about the stuff you missed. Obviously, you can go listen to it again, but we can go over certain things. We can at a high level about the classes that you missed, because I'm interested in you getting the information, right? So we started off this year by learning about how Jainism can help you put down your phone. We learned about how the phone affects brain chemistry, and we learned about 13 weapons we can use to fight to get our attention back. The week after that, we did a deep dive into ego. We learned about the 8 types of ego, and about the 8 types of humility we can use to combat that ego. Next, we talked about examining our life, and we learned that most of the things that we think we have to do are actually things we get to do. And by understanding and reframing our life like that, we learned how to be grateful for the things that we have. The week after that, we did a discussion on deceit. We did a deep dive on deceit, and we learned that truth is different from facts. Remember that truth is different from facts, and we learned about how to develop straightforwardness. After that, we did a deep dive into greed, and we learned about the hedonic treadmill and how to get off of it. Otherwise, we'll keep on running faster and faster and getting nowhere. After that was a very interesting class. I put on my lawyer hat and I did my best to poke holes in Jain theory. We learned about the criticisms of Jainism, and we addressed each of them. Next, we learned that the quality of your attention determines the quality of your life. We mainly skipped over meditation, sleep, and exercise, because you're supposed to be doing those things anyway. And we talked about tips and tricks to be less distracted at work. And the takeaway there, of course, is the better your attention is, the better your life will be. And after that, last time we discussed a better way to use the mata. That is, a better way to make it less boring, to keep our interest high, and to think about the things we should be thinking about when using the mata, and not just mindlessly using it and, thinking about something else and waiting for the time to use the mata to be over. So, did anybody miss any of those classes? If so, we can go a little bit further into those classes.
You're on mute, Nick.
Actually, Tim, there was one more class that we had. I think the one that Bhavin did on the lunar calendar.
That's
and,
right.
Oh, yeah.
And what was that, like Atam, Bacham, and all the tithis that come up, Jain tithis. I don't know the name of the class, but
it was the lunar calendar. You're right.
Yeah, lunar calendar.
I missed a couple of those classes, earlier ones, and I think one of them I did go over the recording. I don't think I have gone over the second one. But yeah, we have recording for each one, right?
That's right. And so tell me which one you missed, and let's get over it. We have just a small number of people today, so I'm happy to go further into things you missed.
Most likely, I think I was there for the ego one, but what was after that you mentioned?
After that was we examined our life and we learned about that most of the things we think we have to do are actually things we get to do. And then after that we did deceit.
Then I may not have missed those. I just forgot. I remember those now as you speak. Yeah.
So any questions or comments? It's important, even if you did attend the class, if you don't know what it was about or if you just forgot what it was about, I want to remind you what it was about. And we have an hour here that we each took out of our day. And so it's good to be reminded about what we learned. Any questions or comments? Or sometimes we think of things later that we said, oh, I should have asked that question in that class, but it's too late now. But it's not too late now.
Tim, could I ask you a question on the? I wasn't here. I don't think I was here for the quality of your attention, yielding the quality of your life. Mm-hmm. Can you sum that up a little bit?
Yeah, sure thing.
I know you sent me the link. I apologize, but I have
no problem. So for that class, let's see. So we talked about not being fully present. So everybody has had that experience where you're reading something and then you realize you kind of wake up a little bit later and you realize that you were reading the words, but you didn't understand any of those ideas that you were reading. So you have to go back and reread that. And we talked about most people live their lives like that, except the thing about living your life like that is you can't go back and live that part of your life over again. It's gone forever. So we came up with that phrase that the quality of your attention determines the quality of your life. And anything you can do to increase your attention will increase the quality of your life because you'll be more present when you're with your family. You'll be more present when you're at work. You'll be more present experiencing the present moment, for lack of a better term. You'll be more present in the present moment. And so the things we talked about, the number 1, 2, and 3 way to increase the quality of your attention is meditation, exercise, and sleep. But me saying that is not going to move the needle for you if you're not doing that already, right? So we mainly talked about how to increase the quality of our attention at work. So asking questions during meetings, making lists, writing down your priorities, writing down your to-do list, and making sure they match up. Because that's the real thing at work, is we have our priorities, especially long-term priorities, which always get pushed back, right? And we have our to-do list. But it's not necessarily the case that our to-do list matches our priority. And we have to take time to integrate those two lists. And that way we can be sure that we're paying attention to the thing we have to do because we won't get distracted by other things at work because we're sure that we're supposed to be working on those things. We talked about limiting distractions by maintaining a schedule. We talked about practicing attentive listening, practicing whole body listening. We talked about one way to increase the quality of your attention is actually reading. Because just like we talked about, you kind of lose track of where you are and you have to go back and concentrate to pay attention to the ideas that the author is trying to give you. Reading is a great way to increase the quality of your attention, aside from the big 3 of meditation, exercise, and sleep. At work, we talked about setting aside time to take breaks, what you can do, whether you can go for a walk, whether you can look out the window, something to just, it's so often that we don't feel that what we're doing right now is what we're supposed to be doing. And that's at work and that's in our personal lives too. We think about, well, should I be doing that? Or could I be having more fun during that? Or should I be being more productive doing that? Especially as you get older perhaps and as you get more responsibilities in the workplace, work becomes less a to-do list and more about, well, I have to do everything and I only have this amount of time. What is the most efficient, productive thing I could be doing? We talked about ways to do that. And how do we do that? Well, the first thing we talked about doing was writing down everything you do during the day. Just like the first step to losing weight is writing down everything you eat during the day, which is eye-opening. And even if you don't do anything more, that will be very eye-opening and a very good exercise if you want to lose weight. If you just write down everything you ate that day. Well, the same thing for work. If you just write down everything you do that day, I guarantee that your eyes will be opened and that will be a productive exercise. We talked about identifying when you're most energetic, if you're a morning person or an evening person, and shunting tedious tasks to when you're less energetic. We talked about activity logs, and then we wrapped up with how to explain to our kids about work and about everything we talked about for ourselves, but how to translate that for our kids, because they're going to need to learn from us how to do those things. So that's what we went over in that class. And the main takeaway is simply that the quality of your attention determines the quality of your life. And that's what I would like for you guys to understand and meditate upon.
How many hours of sleep is considered good hours of sleep? How many do you need?
So everybody's different. Everybody, I wish I was one of those persons that didn't need a lot of sleep, but some people don't. So it depends on if it's affecting your work and your life. So you just make sure that sleep isn't the bottleneck. And that's how you know how much to sleep. Because when it starts to be the bottleneck, then it'll start to, then that is the main reason that it's negatively affecting your life. Hi, Mihir. Thanks for joining. Today we're just talking about, we're going over each class that we've been through, and we're making sure that we solidify our takeaways from those classes, because we don't move things into long-term memory until we review them. And so I'd like to review them, use our time this last class before the new year to review them with everybody.
Thank you. Sorry for being late.
Oh, no problem. We just went over a list of the classes that we did. I opened up the floor to any questions. If you missed a class, let's go over the main takeaways. If you have any questions you thought of prior, then let's go over those. Or if you just want to, if you didn't understand something that we talked about, because I lead the discussion in a way that you're supposed to think about it that week, right? I give you a lot of stuff, I throw a lot of information at you, and then you're supposed to kind of filter through it and think about it each week.
One thing that popped up in my mind, as you mentioned it, is one question that you had asked about Hunter and, a Sadhu Maharaj who is in jungle, and the deer goes one way, and that was the example of the false is really not a false.
Right. That truth is different from facts. And that's the classic example, but I wanted an update. How does it apply to our life? Nobody's going to knock on my door and ask me which way a deer went. But what is a good example I can use in my life?
I will think about it. I know we talked about it. Let me think about it. I'll come back to it, because I remember that one was one that I was going to mention. So let me think about it.
Okay, so let me bring everybody up to speed. So we learned that truth is different from facts. Well, how is truth different from facts? Well, any kind of utterance that you make that leads to violence is not the truth. Okay, though it may be facts. So the classic example is you're in your house and you see a deer walking by, and then you hear a knock on your door, and then if you could mute, Bhavin, then we could.
Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so and you open the door and there's a hunter there, and the hunter says, "Which way did the deer go?" and you say, I don't know, which is a lie. Okay? But it's not a lie. Okay? It's the truth. Because if you tell the hunter which way the deer went, for sure the hunter will kill the deer. And that leads to violence. So if you say, I don't know, that's actually the truth. I misspoke when I said that was a lie. It's not a fact that you don't know. So that is how the truth is different from facts. By uttering the words, I don't know, you have uttered the truth. But it is not a fact. Because the fact is you actually do know. But the utterance you say that minimize violence are the truth. And so you should utter the words, I don't know, in response to that question. But now, so that's the classic example we used. But nobody's coming up to my door and asking me which way a deer went. So I would like you to update the example for me and for everybody else. To say, what is an easy way we can say, how is the truth different from facts? So Kaushik, you look like you weren't believing me.
Well, I was just going to say, give one comment there. I think you gave a very good example. But, even before you say that so-called truth, which is a lie, but we call it as truth because it's for a greater good, I think it's important to know the circumstances before you say that truth. And the reason I say that is you may sometimes, in this case, it's kind of black and white, but let's say you have that person knocking on your door. You need to really know that that person is going to kill or hurt that animal before you say that truth. Who knows? That person was behind that animal because was caring for that animal or was going to help animal, right? And again, this is more black and white example, but in real lives, we don't get, like you said, you don't get person knocking your door. The examples are not black and white. And we just have to know, we may be trying to do something good, but at least know your facts and get your understanding right, because you may be hurting the person who may be trying to help that animal or whatever that situation is. So that was my comment, actually.
Sure, absolutely. I totally agree with you. All of the things in the example I gave were you assumed perfect knowledge of the situation, which never occurs. Yeah. We never have perfect knowledge of any situation. And so we never really know the right thing to do in a lot of places. But I would like a kind of a black and white example. So even though let's assume we have perfect knowledge of a situation, what's a modern day example that we could use that would easily let people know the difference between truth and facts?
Is this only applicable when there is a violence involved?
So violence is the big one, and as we learned, Jainism is the religion of nonviolence because we have expanded the definition of nonviolence to cover just about everything. But no, it's not only true when violence is involved, it's also true if any of the other, for example, let's talk about the 4 passions, right? What if one of your utterances would lead to an incredible amount of inflammation of one of the 4 passions in somebody else? And if you say, I don't know, that utterance would not, and the situation would dissolve or fizzle out. Then I would posit to you that's the same example. So the answer to your question is no, violence is not the only consideration in play.
So one example is recent one that we had, and I'm just trying to provoke a thought here, not that it's a perfect example. But, for example, my mom was in the hospital getting her knee surgery done. It was basically something that was supposed to happen some time ago. We didn't tell kids the fact, or just they didn't know until it was all done. And my mom herself was like, okay, don't, disclose. I mean, I don't know. She was kind of hesitant to talk to them as well on a video. Usually she does that. And, but then, once it was done, she was comfortable after that, and they talked to her in the hospital, and they were like, "Oh, you're in the hospital? Why? What?" I mean, all those kind of stuff. And like I said, we kind of hid the facts, if you will, for some time, knowingly. There could be occasions like that where you do not reveal the fact for the better good, means, the other truth. I think we can probably have an example like that. Maybe not as black and white, but there are examples where we basically keep the two fact away, just so that they can be in a better shape.
That's a great example, and that will apply to everybody, right? So let's say I have kids, and someday their grandparents will pass, of course, and their soul would move on to another life. And let's say they have a health scare, and so my kids ask me about their grandparents' health scare, and I don't know the outcome. But let's say there's a high probability of death, but I don't know the outcome. Maybe the doctor told me it was a 90% chance of a death because of this health scare. So the child asked me about what's going to happen, and I say everything will be all right, or I say I don't know, rather than telling the child the fact that the doctor said, "Oh, well, there's a 90% chance that your grandparent won't survive." So I am saving the child considerable anguish, and perhaps unnecessary anguish, especially if the grandparent survives. And so that's a great example, because my utterance of "I don't know" is better than an utterance of the fact that, well, there's a very good chance that the grandparent won't survive. Great example. I like that one. So, any other questions about any of the classes that we did so far? So I skipped one. The very first class we did was our goals. Does anybody have their goal sheet that we filled out about half a year ago? Oh, people are going to get it. Great.
Well, I missed that class, so...
Well, you're not off the hook, because I sent out the goal sheet. So now it's time.
I agree.
So let me share my screen and find out. Oh, great. Some people have it. Okay, so here we go. The goal sheet should look like this. And I sent it to the group, so you should have it now. So obviously our goals should be SMART, which means specific, measurable, achievable, resourced, and time-bound. So your first thing is, if you did fill this out and you lost track of this, that's your first goal, okay? That's your first personal goal, is keep track of this goal sheet. and either take a picture of it or put it on the refrigerator or something like that. Because we want to make sure, because this is not going away. I know a lot of times people say to do something and then never follow up, but I'm following up now with your goals. And here's the most important thing as we review this. The most important thing with the stuff that you wrote down is, do not beat yourself up for not meeting these goals, okay? Just as we review it, just take a look at the goals, and whatever you do, don't feel bad about not meeting these goals. Just take a look at the goals and just ask yourself, well, what got in the way? The answer is going to be life. Life got in the way, my kids got in the way, work got in the way, and say, now let's talk about why they got in the way. Well, all I needed, I looked under this resourced and time-bound one, and it was like, all I needed was an hour a week. And I was sure I could get an hour a week, but somehow that didn't happen. Well, now it's time to recommit ourselves to getting that hour a week back, getting that time back, and working towards these goals. If you want to use this again for our next one, then of course some of these goals you will use again, because we didn't get there. but don't feel bad about not meeting these goals. That's not my intention, and that is counterproductive to what we should be doing. We should just be looking at these goals and saying, hey, why didn't I meet them? What was going on? Were they not smart enough? Were they not specific enough? Were they not time-bound? Were they not resourced enough? And let's go through them. So while I'm rambling, take a look at your goal sheet. And if you do not have a goal sheet, then fill this one out. And make sure that we understand our personal goals, our professional goals, our spiritual goals, physical goals, mental goals, and family goals. And let's make sure that they're specific, measurable, achievable, resourced, and time-bound. So did anybody accomplish any of the goals, any of their goals?
Hi, Timur. I had done total 4 goals, and I think I did 2.5.
That's great.
So,
congratulations.
Yeah. So I might share some.
Sure.
I did not have anyone with the spiritual or mental goal, but this year we wanted to have a couple of family goals, and also one personal and one professional goal. So the professional goal was, I've been with this company for 15, 16 years, and last time I touched my resume was 15, 16 years ago. So something to come up with and just have something. It was always the back of the mind that at least have something in front of you. So that was achieved very well.
Great.
Not that I'm looking for a job or applying somewhere. I just want to have something with me. So that was one achieved. 2 of the family goals, one was to have kids learn about the time management. And to be more specific, to use a tool that can be utilized by kids in this new online environment. So this is something new for them. By trade, by education-wise, I'm an engineer, but I'm a PMO. So the project management and the time management skills are so essential to have for my day-to-day life. And I was kind of, okay, how can I help kids? So that was one of the goals that we put in place. I'm very happy that all my kids are using it. It is, we are using a simple Microsoft to-do list, which is integrated with their online system, with schools. They can actually integrate from their emails, create the task, and very, very easy to transfer between the tools. So we now have the family dedicated groups where we can actually delegate to the task, and they are on their way to utilize this one to the fullest extent. So those 2, I would say I have done it. So those are the 2 goals that I did. Other 2, 1.5, I did not do it. So
well, that's great. Congratulations. And I want to use this time to take some victory laps, because I want to encourage everybody to say, oh, when I accomplish this goal, I can tell everybody about it. And remember, these goals don't have to be large, life-changing goals. Right. In fact, I would prefer they not be, because that way they're a SMART goal. And something as simple as updating your resume, that takes a lot of work, and it seems like it's a small thing, but like I got to remember what I did for the last 15 years and put the most important things down of a life's work, so, but that's very good. Congratulations.
Yeah, especially after 16 years, yes, it will be very difficult to remember what you did.
So now is the time to review and see if we met these goals and see what happened to the goal sheet if we had filled them out. And so if you didn't fill one out, Kaushik, then now is the time to fill one out. Fill these goals out. And of course, obviously, as Bhavin said, I don't expect every category to be filled in, but these are the most important categories of your life. And so these are the categories in which we should experience growth. And the only way to experience growth these days is by setting goals and achieving them. Anybody else accomplish any goal? Any comments about this goal practice? This is going to be with us for the rest of Dad's class. So if you want to see this change, or if you think this is not working somehow, then let me know and we'll change it, because I want it to work for you. Probably the first class on our class back, we're going to fill out this sheet again for the upcoming half year from January till the summer. So since this is going to be with us, this is going to be a permanent part of Dad's class. If you want the table to change, let me know. If you want somehow a reminder in the half year, let me know. If you want to do something different with this goal practice, then let me know, and we can make it work for you.
Umesh bhai, looked like you unmuted yourself, so you were going to share something with us?
Yeah, actually, I planned 3 goals, and from that, one might be going to complete in the next 1 or 2 months.
Okay.
One spiritual goal I decided, but partially completed, but I did not put hard work on that one, so it's still, I'm working on it.
That's great.
And one is the physical one. The physical one also, I need to put some time on that.
That's great. And that's the majority of what we're going to be seeing, right? Well, I wanted to do these things, but for X, Y, and Z reasons, I could only do this much, or something got in the way. And don't feel bad. That's what happens. But let's go through, and you don't have to share this, but let's think about, well, why did it happen? Was it some kind of effort on my part, or was it too ambitious or something like that? And let's just work on it. And when we come back after the new year, let's write that one down again and say, hey, we made some progress. We're going to keep on marching toward this one.
Okay, sure.
So Timur, I would like to share a few. I have 2 written down here. One on spiritual side, where I said I want to learn to Pratikaman. I did not achieve it.
Okay.
I did make some progress, but I didn't achieve it fully. For a reason I know that I kind of focused on a different objective or different goal. The other one I had was not written down here, but I had for my professional goal to continue developing myself. So I joined the MBA program, and I'm into it, and that took away a lot of my time starting August, which is just a choice and something that I want to do. So I think that one is accomplished. On the physical side, I wrote down here in a loosely term, lose weight. But I think in lack of better language here, I would probably use improve mental and physical strength. And I did have a personal trainer for this year, and actually made good progress there, and I feel pretty good about that. On the family goal, we had tennis. I think even we talked about in one of the class here, that was one of the things that all of us wanted to do, and something we continued throughout the year. And I except myself, the kids improved much better than I have, so that's a good thing, and something to be feeling good about. One thing I will look forward to is from Bhavin is to share his system, because I realize, especially in this online, something we struggled here recently, and Karika and I have having a lot of discussions about time management. About our own time and kids utilizing their time well. So, I would be looking for some small, simple things about the time management that we can teach Jeremy and Derek at this stage, so they can start implementing these things in a good way. Because I think what we have noticed is it's easy to get distracted for us, with this technology, and for them as well. So how to make sure that we honorously, rather than kind of staying behind the shoulder, how kids can honorously do the things they're supposed to. So I would volunteer Bhavin for one of the class on his experience and small things he has learned that we can use to implement.
So congratulations on achieving some of your goals. And so certainly if Bhavin wants to take a class. I'd love to hear from a professional about time management. And if you want to share some things about how you implemented it with your family, we have a little time if you want to let us know how.
No, absolutely. I can share anytime, and I can take a class, not a problem. It's not a too exotic things. It's just that you need to keep in mind that
Oh, I think we lost Bhavin. Oh, I think a squirrel must have taken his phone. Okay, so no problem. So while we wait for Bhavin to come back, any questions or comments about anything that we talked about today? Whether that be any of the classes we had this semester, any of our goal setting, any of the way we're supposed to think about our goals, or anything like that.
Timir, it's a bit selfish goal, and hopefully it'll serve others as well. But as a class, I think you are, and those who are taking class, taking a lot of effort. You at the most, I think will benefit from others to join it. So I think as a group, if we can kind of do some recruiting, that would be beneficial for others and us as well in turn, because we kind of hear from people and we get more different perspective on different things. So something we can do, if that's a goal or objective, to get more people in the class.
Sure. How about I ask everybody to recruit one person, and I put that on the WhatsApp group. And if everybody can recruit one person, then we could have some new ideas and some new ways to help each other. And of course, we could help those people too. And I'll ask them to send me their numbers, or they can text me and I can add them to the group. That way they get reminders about how to access Dad's class and when we have it and when we don't have it. I've been trying to be good about communicating each week whether we have it or not, because that's one of the things that I didn't like about the previous class was sometimes I would come to class and there would not be any class. So I think that that's a great idea. Okay, so Bhavin's back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you guys want to disconnect, that's fine. We can continue on the next one of the class, or I can share still the details.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so what I was saying is that because of the age group, they are on the phone for a while. So we evaluated, in the office, I use multiple different softwares to do this type of work. Kanban Flow is one of them, but the most easiest one to use for ourselves for home use is Microsoft To-Do List. We all make the list. We all make the to-do list all the time. This one will give you tools to actually create your own list for your own use, or you can actually invite your family members to join that individual list. Also, this one, you can delegate your activities to the others. Also, you can prioritize them. You can dump all your different items ahead of the time. So for instance, right now, my list may have include when my passport will be required to be renewed in 5 years from now, right? And it will create the reminders. It will create on the day off or whenever you put those things in. So all of those things that's lingering in the back of our mind, you can throw it, all of those things at one place, which is shared by you, your family, your kids, and anything related with them that you want them to work on. You have your phone, you put it in. So because what happened is you are at work, you are at some place, and you remember something to do something about your kids. At that time, you throw that one in this list. You can delegate that, and it shows up on their screen. The same to-do list, they use it during the school days, and it being a Microsoft product, it is integrated with what school is using their system with. So for instance, they use Office 365. Any email that requires them to do a follow-up, all they have to do is make a checkbox. It becomes part of the to-do list. So this was one of the most simplest tool. After I evaluated 3 or 4 different tools, this came out to be one of the most simplest tool to utilize for me and my family, and kids are actually liking it. And they spend a lot of time on the phone, and we try to tell them not to spend too much time, but at least now they are actually understanding the importance of this particular time management tool that will help them hopefully in future. So try this one out. If you have a 365, let's say, license already for your family or something, then this tool comes for free. I've been having it for a while, so I do not know if it is a free version or not, but I think Microsoft is going free version next year, I believe, so definitely it could be utilized by anyone.
That's great. Thank you so much. I'm going to definitely look into it for when my kids get a little bit older like yours are.
Right.
So, Bhavin, when again, I think this is very interesting. Maybe it's as simple and big because you're really close, but I think this is one of the problems not only at the family level, but it's also a problem at work, because people are wondering who's going to do what, and especially, I mean, we are in the middle of holiday season, and who's going to issue the forecast. We have a daily task and a monthly task, and imagine we all have licenses and we don't utilize these tools. And I started using OneNote a little bit, and then I didn't get enough support, so people kind of lost the track of it. But I think what I would suggest, if you don't mind, and for us, we were just talking about, while we missed you for a few seconds, we were talking about, we think more people can benefit from here.
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought is, we can, whenever you can prepare something, just as as our class, we can publicize that as a time management workshop, and we can try to recruit others to bring, our giant centers and folks, and say, okay, here's another live experience that applies to work as well as family. Because one of the things I feel, with 2 kids, we can't stay behind them all the time and make sure that they're on the right screen. And I have heard that other parents are facing the same challenge. But if you create a time management type concept, I think that'll deter them from just going to a different screen and doing something while the class is going on. Because I think for me that's the biggest challenge. You never know, and then you doubt, and then so. Anyways, I'm connecting 2 dots here, but. I would personally like to hear more, and a little bit more.
No, I can do show and tell small group. Not a problem. I mean, there are so many tools available in the market. This one, number one, you need to first have a permission from organization level, right? So if something I want to roll it out, I need to make sure that it doesn't compromise anything on organizational level. This one is straightforward. There is no brainer on it, but I don't use this one. I do use this one at work for my kind of a common personal versus professional thing. But if I have to share with the team members, I don't use this one at work. There is something called Kanban Flow. It's an online dashboard that you can actually, and in one of those classes, I can actually do my office, my dashboard that tells you, how you have the swim lines, multiple swim lines based on who's the owners and what type of breakdown of your ownership. And then you have a vertical columns where we tell you, here's all my list that I need to do. This is the list. I'm going to do it today. This is in progress. This is completed. So there's a Kanban flow. Typically any time management software you will like to see a screen with all available tasks assigned to whoever is visually visible, right? Either this task has been worked by XYZ person, are they in progress? It's like a storytelling. If you look at the agile methodology, it's more like a storytelling. You actually document the story. So this Kanban flow is what I use in my office software because it is not. It's an online tool and it can easily be accessed anywhere else. It works with your phone. But for family, this To-Do is one of the easiest one. And to your point, during the school time, none of my kids, except my high schooler, they have their phones with it. So that's why it's important that this tool works on your computer, integrated with the computer. So when you are in your emails, checking your teacher's emails, and teacher says this assignment is due next Tuesday, they can check that box. It creates the to-do list for them. Add the dates on it. It creates that action item for them to complete by next Tuesday. So that is another reason why they generally don't have their phones during the class.
So that's a great idea, Mihir. So what we'll do is we'll take advantage of Bhavin's generosity to bring value to the Jain Center and use it as a tool for recruitment for Dad's class. I'll work with Bhavin. He'll work on the content, and I'll work with the Jain Center to package it up, make an announcement, get publicity for this workshop, and we can come up with the title, but it'll be bringing your family tasks online, or something about making family lists, or something about making family work easier online. And then we can present it as like a Dad's class presents this workshop, and then Bhavin can lead it, and then I can do all the admin stuff, and any support that Bhavin needs, I can help with that and allow him to focus on the content creation and just sharing the presentation. So that's a beautiful idea, and I will work with Bhavin, and we'll make sure we'll get it done, and we'll present it as a workshop next semester.
Yeah, this is truly not more than 15 minutes timeline, honestly, if you ask me. So,
but Bhavin, it's 15 minutes that everybody needs, right? Everybody.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that it's not a. It should not be on the long 2-hour class.
No.
The presentation on energy sector and all that. So I'm just letting you know it's a very short duration, time-bound things.
All I would want you to do is to tell us, hey, go to this website, sign this up, put your 4 family members' names here. Right. Here's what you can do once you do that. Oh, I can do this list.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I got it. Now we can go and we can give some good examples of day-to-day life and how we do those things. So absolutely, more than happy to do it.
So any final thoughts for this semester? I'd like to thank every one of you for participating in Dad's class this year. I know we had some challenges moving online. I think a lot of us are very comfortable with it online now, and we might actually end up having some challenges when we come back face-to-face where people prefer it online. But I hope that you all have a very happy Christmas and New Year's, and we'll see you back here in 2021.
Thank you, Timmy, for everything we do, and happy holidays to everyone. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.